Think about some of your favorite TV channels or the streaming services that you go and watch certain things on. Do you realize how many of these shows are either prequels, sequels, reboots, or revivals of some of the all-time classic shows or films? I mean, come on, just think about Cobra Kai, Punky Brewster, Saved by the Bell, and so on. They're all just extended or fresh takes on the shows of people's youth, and Hollywood is driven to keep this going, even if they can't bring everyone from the original cast back. This includes the show iCarly, which just started its reboot, minus a very important cast member. So allow us to show you how iCarly Reboot revealed why Sam Puckett isn't on the show anymore. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 5. The Return of iCarly. Mostly. In 2020, it was revealed that an iCarly reboot was coming. Something that no one really saw coming because, in truth, the shows of the era that iCarly were in are very much, well, dead in their own ways for one reason or another. However, the iCarly reboot was not going to be on Nickelodeon like the original series. Instead, it was to be on the rebranded Paramount Plus. Furthermore, it was confirmed during the announcement period that Miranda Cosgrove, Nathan Kress, and Jerry Trainor were all going to be brought back for the reboot, which made sense as they were some of the most important members of the original cast. This goes double for Cosgrove as she was the literal star of the show. However, when it came to Jennette McCurdy, not only had she not been announced to return for it, but a set photo of the sequel reboot was posted on Paramount Plus's Twitter page and she wasn't on it. Furthermore, a few new characters were revealed and one of them has already been labeled as Carly's best friend, which made it pretty clear that Jennette's character of Sam Puckett wouldn't be returning in a major way. To which many fans asked, why was that the case? Well, the story sadly is a tragic one. Number 4. Jennette's rough past with acting. Jennette, as of yet, has not spoken about the reboot or why she refused to be in it. However, she has previously spoken about stepping away from acting after what she has called the psychological trauma of being a child star. This was from a since-deleted bio on her own website where she wrote, "I started out as a child actor. That certainly lent some psychological trauma. Sound guys can be especially creepy." That bio has since been updated, but is still hardly positive about her time as a teen actor. It now reads, Jennette McCurdy got her start in child acting, which by her late teen years had brought her success. She starred in Nickelodeon's hit show iCarly and her own spin-off Salmon Cat. Despite her outside success, McCurdy felt ashamed of 90% of her resume and ultimately unfulfilled, so she turned to alcohol. But since that didn't work, she quit acting and began pursuing writing-directing in 2017. In a HuffPost op-ed that she went into more detail about feeling unfulfilled in her work on the set of Salmon Cat, which she starred in alongside Ariana Grande. Particularly, she spoke about how it re-triggered her eating disorder. McCurdy wrote, "I had also become acutely aware that I was a role model for kids, which I felt like I was supposed to find cool but actually found upsetting." She described why. "My great contribution to society was walking onto an overlit Nickelodeon set shouting lines about fried chicken. My character liked fried chicken, and that's what kids were looking up to? Granted, we all can't be American Buddhist nun Pema Chodron, but there was something about the shallowness of my success that made me resent it. That resentment festered, providing even more fuel for my eating disorder. I actively began to engage in anorexic behavior again." Now you would hope that her trauma wouldn't have ended there, but sadly it did not. Number 3. Salmon Cat Fallout. The ending of iCarly came at a very interesting time on Nickelodeon as another key series in Victorious ended, which was the show that gave birth to the career of Ariana Grande in many ways. Nickelodeon felt that the two side characters of Salmon Cat had potential for a new show, and thus Salmon Cat was born. Not long after the show was made though, McCurdy went and did an open letter of sorts and noted the concept of fake friends, meaning ones who seem to be your friend but aren't. It was very clear to fans and others that she was talking about Ariana Grande. So much so that she noted that while they used to have fun together, they eventually became estranged because of a certain someone loving drama and gossip. McCurdy even said that working together with said person was detrimental to her mental health. It also came out that the two butted heads a lot on set, and this, among other factors, would lead to Salmon Cat not lasting long on Nickelodeon at all. Adding to that, McCurdy noted that Nickelodeon put her in an uncomfortable, compromising, unfair situation. So, between the two different shows, Nickelodeon has put McCurdy in a position to have serious mental breaking, an eating disorder, and not being able to trust her co-stars, whom you would argue that she would want to trust the most as they were her own age. In short, this was heartbreaking, and just as heartbreaking as that was years go on, we find out that many of these child stars have their own mental issues that are only now showing, in the literal worst ways possible. Number 2. Child actors in crisis. Don't understand what we mean by that title? Well, we mean exactly that. There is an epidemic of child stars revealing who they really are, and it is horrifying at times. Look at fellow former Nickelodeon star Amanda Bynes. At one time, she was one of the biggest stars on Nickelodeon, but now she's broken mentally because she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder way too late, and her actions very much destroyed her career. Disney Channel had this happen as well with actors like Orlando Brown from That's So Raven or Miley Cyrus. Even some of the Disney Channel original movie stars that Disney prided themselves on broke mentally, and some even died at young ages. But it's not just TV show acting that does this to young stars. Movies do it as well. How about Harry Potter, where star Daniel Radcliffe was one of the most known actors in Hollywood because he was Harry Potter. And then once the pressure was off of him due to being out of the franchise, he, well, went off and started getting into situations that shocked fans greatly. Or in regards to recent history, look up what happened to Drake Bell and Kyle Massey, 2 stars of shows, and now they're starring in their own cautionary tales. This is surefire proof that McCurdy is not a lone example of child star pressure and abuse that is in the long term, it's ruining their lives, as they aren't being taught the right way to do things or being kept in check or monitored for their well-being overall. So she isn't doing this reboot because she wants to protect her mental health, and if nothing else, you should appreciate that. Number 1. The reveal of Sam's fate on iCarly. So given all of that, how is iCarly going to handle Sam's conspicuous absence? Especially since she was Carly's best friend and one of the driving forces behind her in-canon show. Well, during the first episode of the reboot revival, where Carly is trying to bring back her show, she notes that Sam is in a biker gang. Carly noted that Sam is in a biker gang and that she was honestly worried about the bikers more than Sam, given how Sam's personality was. Now, some fans will note that because Sam is canonically not dead, that she could appear in a later season of iCarly should certain things change. And that is true, but it's not really looking like this is going to happen. Mainly because, by McCurdy's own words, she's retired. I ultimately quit after my mom passed away because with her death kind of died a lot of her ideas for my life, and that was its own journey, and a difficult one for sure, McCurdy said. The whole experience led to her to say, I resent my career in a lot of ways, and left her feeling so unfulfilled by the roles that I played and felt like it was the most just cheesy, embarrassing thing. Sorry iCarly fans, but you'll just have to picture her biker gang life in your head, because her return is not in the cards. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the return of iCarly, but not the return of Carly's best friend Sam? Did you know about the story or history of Jennette McCurdy before now? Are you shocked that her time at Nickelodeon wasn't as happy-go-lucky as you might have thought it was? Hearing all of this, are you glad she chose her sanity over just being back on the show again? Are you going to watch the iCarly revival despite all that's going on with it? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.